Kyland, oh my God, where do we begin, man? Let's jump right in. That explosive conversation, the chat, like almost nose to nose that you and Xavier had before you left the house. Take me back to that moment and what you want to say to Xavier when you see him next, because man, things got heated.
When I think of my conversation with Xavier on my eviction night, um, I think it was exactly what I wanted it to be. Maybe a little bit less exciting than I wanted it to be. Uh, the reality is that he and I had a lot of one-on-one conversations as far as the things that we value from a competitor standpoint. And we said how both of us admire competitors like Goku in the fiction world, or in the real world, competitors like Kobe Bryant. These are guys who face their opponents head on and go toe to toe with them. They take the hard road instead of the easy road and face their challenges directly. In this game, you have an opportunity to take the easy road, to face your opponents indirectly, and to avoid them. I thought that because this is such an epic season and we already had this idealistic, incredible storybook movie ending of getting the final six to the end of the game, why not go the extra mile and make sure that the first black winner also wins in an epic fashion, and in an honorable fashion, as far as like being forthcoming and taking those direct moves and sitting with the strongest two competitors at the final two. And that was something that Xavier said that he values, and something that he said that his family values and looks up to. He then made a decision not to do that. So all I did was I brought up the exact conversations that we had. And the conversation that we had was that his family looks up to somebody who makes those decisions, and he didn't make that decision. So that's just an objective truth based on the conversations that we had and the things that he said. And if he takes offense to something that's just simply an objective truth, I can't help him with that. That being said, if my word choice specifically was not objective in some way, then I would have made an error and could have caused actual disrespect to him as a person, his character, or his family. In that case, of course, I apologize. But I'm usually pretty good about the words that I choose. So I don't think that I did make that mistake. Of course, like I said, if I'm wrong, I'm happy to own up to it. But as far as if I did just bring up that objective truth, then I'm good with that. And as far as it getting heated, like the type of competitor I am, you know that I don't mind standing toe to toe or going head to head with a strong competitor in any game. And if anyone, I think Xavier showed that, you know, he doesn't do that. He prioritizes winning over just winning in a particular way. And in general, I'd do the same. So it's something I think is a perfectly respectable move. This season, since it was already idealistic in these other ways, I just wanted it to be epic in that way too. He didn't, for reasons I totally understand, totally respect. You know, they're just different things that we prioritize and different things that we value. And we're different people, and that's okay. I hope that he can accept, you know, that truth and doesn't take it personally, because I don't. And if he doesn't and he wants to have a further conversation, of course we can. I still got love for the guy and respect, and so I'm down if he's down anytime.
Why were you playing so hard to keep Xavier in this game, and why didn't you take your shot when you had the chance? It's a game for $750,000.
One of the things I wanted to be consistent about in this game was not offering a final two or final three to anyone. I would accept all the ones that came my way. So even when Xavier said, like, he's the one that brought up our unofficial final two, you know, I didn't name it, but he brought it up first. So for me, it was a matter of consistency. And the other element of consistency for me was that I wanted to sit next to strong competitors at the end of the game. Obviously, I prioritized the cookout and bring us to the end of the game. I was very fortunate that we had strong competitors within the cookout. And when I say strong competitors, I don't just mean competitions. I mean people who did good in the what I consider the three different verticals within Big Brother. as being a good player. And that's good at competitions, good at strategy, and or good at social gameplay. Xavier and Tiffany are both people who are well-rounded in all of those categories to various degrees. I think that I had a high competence in those categories to my own various degrees, and all of us would look different if we were to rank each of those. At the end of the day, since this was a season that became about representation and we were going to have our first Black winner, there were certain tactics that I valued over others as a personal choice. Tiffany, by her own admission, told me that she was making decisions that were selfish and decisions that were disloyal. And since this was going to be a first Black winner, I didn't want selfish and disloyal moves to be a part of their gameplay, especially before we even got down to the final six. So that was why I ultimately had to choose between Xavier and Tiffany, and that's why I chose Xavier. And the other thing that I was consistent about is I told people straight up, if Xavier had told me that that was his intention, to get out a strong competitor and not sit next to him at the end, and told me he was going to do exactly what he did, I wouldn't have made any decisions differently. The only thing I would have possibly changed is hopefully winning that last veto competition, or even winning that Final Four HOH, maybe trying a little bit harder. But as far as bringing him to the end, that's exactly what I said I would do. And I said that if it cost me the game, then at least I'm going out on my own terms. And I did. So I'm good with that.
You and Big D had a tight friendship in the house, man, you and Derek F. So pertaining to that vote, what's going through your mind? And what do you want to say to Derek F about the vote that sent you out of the house and into the jury house?
I don't really have any issues with Big D's moves. It was a move that I told him he should make. Like I said, I knew that I wanted to get to the end of the game on my own terms. This season specifically. Any other season, I'm going to make that move that just gets me to the end of the game and gives me that easy win. Or at least as easy of a win as you can get, because nothing is easy about this game. Let me tell you that. But when I got to the end and I had that final six HOH, that final six veto, and then the veto the week following that, I had a lot of opportunities to make this very easy for myself. Even at Final Five, just taking off Chada, sending Xavier home, then it's just me versus Big D, Chada, and Azza. Not Azza, because she would have won the HOH, for that Final Four HOH and that Final Four veto. Historically speaking, in terms of our competition history, that would have been a pretty easy path for me to get to the end of this game and win. But that wasn't what I wanted to do. So another part of that gameplay was not lying to Big D in that moment and not telling him anything that wasn't true. And so I don't have any questions for him, because I told him, hey, the best strategic move for you would be to keep Azza over me. And my plan was to not give him that opportunity, but that's just the way it played out. So then I had to cross my fingers and hope that X wanted to play the same type of game that I did and have that epic showdown at the end, and he didn't. And that was always a risk. So Big D, I don't really have any questions for him. I still love him, and I hope he wins. He did the things that he had to do to get to the end. He had no easy decisions. He didn't have as many options or as many choices as myself or Xavier or other players in the game. So, I'm excited to see what happens.
And we got to talk about the mission this season, man. Mission accomplished. The cookout, the final six, history made. Take me through the process of what you think about that and the accomplishments. And if All-Stars came knocking, what does Kyland say?
When I was coming into this game, I thought that I'd be playing an individual game and I'd be able to do whatever it took to make sure that I was the first Black winner of Big Brother in America. But as soon as I got in the house, I saw the cookout and I realized that my goal could change to just making sure that we had the first Black winner of Big Brother, even if that meant sacrificing my own game or going out early. And that was something I was prepared to do. And fortunately, it wasn't something that I had to do early in the game. But what I did have to do is make moves that were a detriment to my individual game in order to make sure that all 6 of us can move forward safely. And sometimes that involved getting blood on my hands or making myself a target so that some of our less strong competitors in the cookout didn't have to fight to save themselves. And it also meant getting rid of people who were allies to me as an individual, since they were threats to other members of the cookout. And that was difficult because it wasn't what I had wanted to do coming into the game. But I knew that the mission was bigger than my individual game or any of our individual games. And since I was willing to sacrifice my game for it, I knew that I had to prioritize it above everyone else's game as well. And that's what we did. And I was very fortunate to have some pretty direct roles in getting us to the end. And so I'm just honored and grateful for the team that we had, the 6 of us, how all of us were able to participate in accomplishing that mission, that goal. And the fact that we did it in such spectacular fashion without losing a single member, we broke records and we made history. And that's something that I'm proud to be a part of. And even more than that, I'm grateful to be a part of it. That all being said, I would give anything to get back into this game and be able to play as an individual. I can only imagine how fun it must be, and how much, I'm sure it's still incredibly difficult and has its own stress, but I'll tell you, having to worry about 6 people as opposed to just 1 and having to make decisions to prioritize them over yourself adds a layer to the game that I think not a lot of other people have had to face. And I'd be interested and excited to test out, my gameplay as an individual in a future All-Star season. If I could, be an All-Star, that's a dream in itself. I love the game more than anything, and I hope I do have that opportunity.